voting that's coming up, and a lot of our people, especially African transplants who have come to Seattle, a lot of them don't feel like their voices or their votes count in the space, the political space of decision making in Washington. What is one message you could tell these people, and why their votes count, and why it's important for them to be part of the voices that are represented in Washington State?
I want to give you a concrete example.
Okay.
When this immigrant relief fund was in the second round, the data was shown of how much, which was 1% of Africans. And because I was in the room, and I'm not shy to speak up, as you know, I actually said this was a huge undercount. And the message was, oh, well, this represents what the percentage of Africans we have in Washington State.
Correct.
But I brought up the fact that that's only representing the African refugees.
The refugees,
and that is
very
maybe
small.
10% of the entire population that's here.
Yeah.
Right? And so we know in the community that's a small percent. But unfortunately, according to the government, it looks like, oh, well, we've served the same. Yeah, we've served what we should be serving. There's nothing. And that pushback, that challenge, that only happened because someone was in the room, right, who understood. And then because we're this, funds is by community, they heard. Yeah. And now we are, from the summit that I was just trained in August, we're like the largest on the West Side in terms of ethnic groups being represented. So Africans. And so you can make change.
Correct.
It can happen, but you have to be at the table.
You have to get elected officials to notice you. I've had some very frank conversation, luckily with elected officials, and they say, well, we know Africans exist, but they don't exist to us, which means they're not voting, right? Like it's very just counted, they're not counted, and so until you're counted, you don't get that seat at the decision-making table. So instead of us, talking about how, which we all know, the underserving of our parents in the K through 12, the lack of interpretation, translation, the lack of college application support, just to help our youth get into college and have it done in a culturally appropriate way, the lack of culturally appropriate food in the school system, all of that comes from representation. And the votes being acknowledged that we exist, right? Yes. In America, there's a saying, you don't exist if you're not on paper. Not on paper.
Yeah, you're not.
You're a ghost.
You're a ghost.